More minutes, so in case people are having trouble logging on. Hold on one sec. I see Barbara, Tom, Bill, Noreen. Yep. Okay, I think I've got everybody. Jason, are you there?
Sure am.
All right, so we're gonna, obviously you want to hit record for our public hearing first?
Yep, it's going.
Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna call the public hearing to order at 7:01 p.m. This is Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. If you would want to talk, just click in and let us know. Say your name, and if you're a resident, your address, and if you're in a department, your department. Is there anybody who would like to make any comments at this time?
Geraldine?
Sarah?
Yes, Sarah Muska, Board of Selectmen and 25 Maple Avenue. First, I'd like to thank all the board members for their service on this board. I know that it's not an easy task, and you, especially this year with what you have in front of you. So I'd like to thank you for your commitment and time. But I'd also like to ask that you please consider reinstating the communications and technology supervisor position for the police department that was recommended to you by the Board of Selectmen. They gave a very thorough presentation explaining each ask. And I think that our community would best be served with our sworn staff focusing on what they were hired to do, which is protecting and serving our community and enforcing the law. So I think that this is a very necessary position, and I hope that you'll consider looking at it again. And also Warehouse Point Fire District, I just would ask that you reevaluate it and discuss it as a board, just to see where the board stands on it. The Board of Finance does have the authority to allocate funds if they so choose to. It was not a unanimous decision by the Board of Selectmen to not fund it. So I just ask that you please consider alleviating some of that double taxation on Warehouse Point residents. And that's all I have, and thank you very much for, again, thanks for serving.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Thank you, Sarah. Please just mute if you're not speaking, because what can happen is we can get a back feed. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Jason, I saw your hand.
Just for the benefit of those people who are on the Zoom call who you just asked to mute, there is a means by which you can raise your hand to speak. And I actually can't see it on my platform because I'm the host. But I think it's in this, well, you're not the host. So perhaps, Geraldine, you could explain to them how people would raise their hands.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. If you go down to the bottom of your screen to the far right where it says reactions, if you want to just give a thumbs up if you'd like to speak, and then Jason can unmute you. Joe Sauerhofer, are you practicing or would you like to speak?
Demonstrating.
Okay.
I'm demonstrating.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Just making sure. I did not want to miss anybody. So is there anybody that would like to speak at this time? Fred S.
Stuckland, 148 Winkler Road. I second the comment about the Warehouse Point Fire District. It's an unfortunate situation where the district is now double taxed for fire services. I think the selectmen need to reconsider the situation and come up with a solution for the town as a whole. That's about it. Thank you.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Thank you, Fred. Is there anybody else? Selectman Nordell? Oh, sorry, Andy, I'll get to you after.
Selectman Nordell, also 7 Grandview Terrace. I too would echo Fred Stucklin and Sarah Muska. I'd like to see something be done about Warehouse Point Fire. An MOU can be provided to you guys in a matter of days if it's so warranted. It wasn't a unanimous decision, like Sarah stated. We tried to put it in. We were outvoted on the Board of Selectmen. And I also would like to echo Sarah's sentiment for the police department position. I noticed you guys cut all new positions except for the one position on Parks and Rec. The police position would actually save money down the road, as the police department stated, saving them in overtime. Could actually help, get the officers on the road more and save on their overtime costs, which in the long run would save the town money in tax dollars. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Thank you, Selectman Nordell. Andy, you had your hand up. Jason, can you?
Thank you. This is Andy Heath, 15 Steeplechase Road. I would also like to echo the Warehouse Point Fire District issue. It's been going on for quite a while. I've been to a number of meetings and listened to a whole bunch of solutions. I do know there's probably one out there. I do know it's tough. And even at this point in time, if the Finance Board could find it to put in some money, it doesn't have to be the whole lump that was initially proposed by the Board of Selectmen, but anything will help. And I just wish that we could get this thing resolved as quickly as possible. Thanks.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else, if you could raise your hand if you'd like to speak? Well, your hand or the waving hand at the bottom of your screen. All right, Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. It doesn't look, I don't see anybody.
No, we have a couple, Geraldine, we do have a couple more. Marie has her hand up. Bob Leach has his hand up.
Oh, you know why? Because it's page 2, Jason, and I can't see it. So,
Yeah, I'm watching it.
all right. So you know what? If you could please just unmute and let us know who it is, because I can't see it.
So I have Marie and then Bob Leach.
Thank you.
Marie D'Souza, 25 Lower Court in 10 Rice Road, Broadbrook. I just want to commend the Board of Finance for doing the job you're doing under these unusual circumstances. I want you, when putting the budget together, although we all have things that we want to have happen in town, we have to look at what's happening as far as people losing their jobs, as far as people may not have their jobs in a couple of months. And I know some people that's not going to be an issue, but to go in with a budget that the town isn't going to be able to afford, I think it's wrong. I, for one, voted to have the extra position put into the police department's budget because I felt it was important for the officers doing the officer's job, and let somebody that's familiar with technology to do that, because technology is going to be the future moving forward. So if you're going to put anything back into the budget, that would be the one place that I'd be looking for an addition, is to put that back in. But as far as the 2 fire departments, as a member of the Board of Selectmen, majority voted not to put it in the budget because of the dollar amount, and because that unity that we thought were between the 2 fire departments has not taken place. And at this point, I strongly feel it's up to 2 fire departments to work out the differences to come up with a solution, because what they told us, what they wanted, and what we looked to do, this current board, turned out not to be exactly what they wanted. And the last vote at the Broadbrook Fire Department didn't pass. Therefore, things between the two departments stopped. To go in and come up with a budget much greater than what the townspeople normally have voted to do something would be a disservice to the town. So I think putting in a 14-15% budget increase wouldn't do the town any good. To put in a 2% isn't going to do the town any good. So you got to come in my opinion, you got to come in somewhere around 3.5% in order for it to pass. To give any kind of money to to Warehouse Point Fire Department isn't going to resolve that issue with the so-called inadequacies between each side of town. Until that can be resolved, putting a Band-Aid on it isn't going to serve the town any justice. So I think the Board of Selectmen need to continue doing what they're doing, working on it, and see what we can do for the two departments to come together. Thank you.
The next hand up was Bob Leach.
Bob Leach, 39 Church Street, Chairman of the East Windsor Police Commission. So I'll start off with maybe a couple of questions. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did the Board of Finance vote on the budget town side at their last meeting? And you don't have to answer that right now. And to keep moving on, I'm going to reiterate Selectman Muska's request that you put the police IT position back in. Keep in mind, this is something you're probably not aware of, is that this position, we have a candidate in mind to fill this position. And this is a position that would most likely carry a salary of upwards of 100K. We were able to get this one person, just as we were able to do with dispatch. If you remember, the dispatcher that we had hired previously left the East Windsor dispatch after raise did not come through at the last budget. This is a similar situation. We have an opportunity to create an efficiency position, and I strongly urge that you put that back in. And I'll have more for you in just a moment.
Madam Chairman, the next hand I see is James Barton.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes, this is James Barton, 108 Main Street in East Windsor. I just want to clarify a couple statements made earlier. It's not up to the fire departments to correct this taxing issue. The fire departments are together on everything. It's up to the Board of Selectmen and the taxpayers to fix this double taxation. To put it on the fire departments to have us agree on it, it isn't right. It's the job of the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance to look out for every taxpayer in East Windsor, not just the taxpayers on the Broadbrook side. So to put it on the fire departments is not right. And I hope you guys can handle it. And I hope you do handle it in a quick fashion.
Madam Chairman, the next hand I see is Alan Baker.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to chime in on the Warehouse Point thing. We voted not to add it back into the budget because it would have been a 14% increase. I personally just couldn't see how that was going to pass. And we have a plan, and it's not all on the Board of Selectmen. It's not all on the fire departments. It's on all of us. I think that we need to continue with the plan that we started back in the fall or early winter, where we're trying to get this district fixed. I think that's the way forward. I think if you put money in this year, then next year, maybe you get money or maybe you don't. The taxpayer is going to get whipsawed back and forth. It's not fixing anything. And it's almost impossible. Like if we were to say, okay, look, let's put in 14%, 800,000 or so back into the budget and just pass that without anybody being able to vote on it, I don't think that's fair. And it's a bad situation, but we need to keep moving forward with the plan that we have. Try to finish it for next year. Whether we are successful or not, we have to give it a try. And then we can look at other options.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Jason, are there any more hands?
I see two more hands up, but I'm not sure if they're up or if were just left up. That's James Barton and Bob Leach. Bob's has come down and back up a couple times, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if either of them would like to speak.
Bob Leach,
Jason-
I'd like to speak if I can.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Right now, Bob, you're unmuted, so you go ahead if you wanted to go.
All right, Bob Leach, Chairman of the Police Commission. I think the point that everybody is missing on Warehouse Point Fire District issue is that money is going to be paid whether or not it comes out of the town's budget or if it comes out of the Warehouse Point District taxpayers' budget. Either way, those same funds are going to be paid. So whether you spread this out over the whole town as it should be, or you hang it on the Warehouse Point Fire District residents, those bills are going to be paid. So whether or not it's a 14% increase on the town budget, or it's whatever the percentage increase is on Warehouse Point, somebody's paying it. And whether it's being done fairly is the question. So I'll leave you with that.
James Barton, 108 Main Street, East Windsor. I just want to ask a question. Is it fair for the Warehouse Point taxpayers to fund 75% of the fire protection in the town of East Windsor? If you want to start talking about fairness, for the last 4 years, the Warehouse Point taxpayers had paid over $3 million in fire protection, where Broadbrook residents only paid half that. If you want to talk about fairness.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Jason, any other hands?
Selectman Baker.
You're right, Jason. It's not, Selectman Baker, Rye Street. James, it's not fair. That's not fair. I also think it's not fair. And I think you probably agreed to not let people vote on that.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Jason, any other hands?
One more, Nicole Vasilla.
Nicole?
Oh, okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just state your name and your address, please.
Nicole Vasilla, 53 Prospect Hill Drive. My question is regarding the fire district. I do understand that technically speaking, it is on the Board of Selectmen to fix it. But if the Board of Selectmen come to a solution that the fire departments don't like, are the fire departments still going to support it?
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Is that all you? Okay, Nicole, thank you. I can't answer that. Any other hands, Jason?
I see Selectman Baker's is up, but I'm not sure that he is, again, I'm not sure if he wants a second bite at the apple or if he has just left it up from last time.
I probably have said enough at this point in time. I just wanted to reply to Ms. Vasilla's question. And, I think it's incumbent on the Board of Selectmen to try to help come to some kind of an agreement on this. And I thought we were heading in that direction with the district stuff. And I know there's opposition to it and it's hard to do. And, you know, I agree with Bob's point too, that, you know, the bills are getting paid anyway. It's just that I think in this situation right now, the reason why we did what we did was because we didn't think that the people, and we've seen this in the past, want that added back in. And for the budget to fail for just that reason, excuse me, makes it, you know, hard to get all the other things that we want to get done in town done.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Thanks, Alan. Okay, so are there any other new hands for public comment during the public hearing? Amy, was that your hand? Jason, I think Amy's hand went up. Or, I don't know.
Yes. Amy O'Toole, Treasurer. I just want to confirm, we have only spent $1.6 million over the last 4 years, including this year, on the Broadbrook Fire Services budgets.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Thank you, Amy. All right, any other hands regarding the budget statements, anything? Jason, remember, I can't see hands.
I see James Barton for the 4th time.
Okay, we can't keep going back and forth, everybody. It's a public hearing, but it is not a back and forth. So if we are not adding any new information and it's just going to be a debate, we really can't do that. But if there is something to add, so unmute Mr. Barton, but please go with new stuff and please once or twice, okay? And we'll keep it moving.
Yeah, James Barton, I just wanted to agree with Amy. She's right. She's only spent $1.8 million on Broadbrook Fire Department and nothing on Warehouse Point. You're right.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Any other hands? Jason?
I see Mr. Stuckman has his up again.
Yes, just to clarify that situation, you've spent 1.6 million on the Broadbrook Fire Department at the burden of the whole town, including the firehouse, Warehouse Point Fire District, which is double taxation. And that is the essence of the problem. The selectmen need to address the double taxation situation. It may not get resolved in this particular finance period, but it certainly needs to be resolved in the town. Thank you.
Okay, Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. And once again, okay, any more hands and not to debate the fire departments, please. Jason?
I don't see any more, but I'm scrolling through like 40 names.
Okay, we'll give it just a minute
30
to
names.
check for any hands.
I don't see any more.
This is D. James Barton.
Okay, hold on one second, Jason. Okay, Mr. Barton, go ahead.
I don't know how you can stop conversation about the fire department. This is D. James Barton, 158 South Water Street, not the fire chief. To be clear, I'm the treasurer of fire. Fire services are provided by Warehouse Point Fire Department and Broadbrook Fire Department. And both components are required to protect the town, the citizens, of East Windsor. But for 4 years now, the Warehouse Point taxpayers have a burden of approximately 75%, while 25%. It was my hope that with a new administration in town after a government that was for 4
Can anybody else hear him?
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. No, I didn't know if it was just me. It like looks like he might be frozen. Because the picture is not moving either. I'm still not hearing anything. Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. I think we lost connection. Do you see him anywhere, Jason? Because he's gone off my screen now too.
I see him. He's unmuted, but there's no visual, there's no audio coming through.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Let's see if there's any other hands, and then if he can get his computer back up and working and you see him, we'll try to come back to him. Are there any other hands?
Not that I see.
Are we still not seeing him or
Well,
no visual?
he's there, but he's just not,
His video is back on now.
Can he hear us? Unmute him, see if he can hear us now. Jason, please.
I can only.
Is it possible to get into this thing?
Can you hear us now? No, now he's frozen again. Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Are there any other hands?
Geraldine, it's Rebecca, the recording secretary. I missed Fred's last name, and the first Andy that spoke, I missed his last name.
Okay. Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Jason, can you unmute Andy so we could do his last name?
It's Andy Heath and Fred Stucklin, but I'll unmute them just the same.
He's correct. It's Andy Heath.
Thank you, Andy. Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Fred, and your last name is Stucklin?
Stucklin.
Okay, did you get that, Rebecca?
No, I missed that.
Stucklin.
Stucklin, ST. Got it?
28 Winkler Road.
Winkler Road. All right, awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Fred and Andy. Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Is Mr. Barton there? Can he, or no, his video's gone again.
I'm here.
Oh,
Can you hear
okay.
me?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Did you-
Well, we heard you, but now you're gone again. You're cutting in and out. It's not coming through clear.
Well,
Oh.
I've been frustrated over 4 years over the fire department problem, and you need to fix it.
We can still hear you, so go
And-
ahead.
Provided by both of these fire departments and to residents and the taxpayers of the town of East Windsor to. So that happened. It hasn't happened in 4 years. For 4 years, we've been dysfunctional, and I was hoping that we'd get over that now. It's up to you guys as town leaders to fix this, and thank you.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Unfortunately, was it just me or was he still cutting out and we weren't getting everything? I didn't think so. Unfortunately, Mr. Barton, I think the speaker on your computer or something is cutting in and out. We're getting like every third word.
Yeah, that figures.
During the course of Board of Finance, Jason, are there any more hands?
Are you sure?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Bob Leach has his hand up.
Bob does have his hand up.
Oh, Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Go ahead to Bob one more time.
So Bob Leach, 39 Church Street, Police Commission Chairman. Just going back to my point that regardless of where the money comes from, the money is still going to be expended. The whole thing is whether or not you're going to extract it from Warehouse Point residents or you're going to extract it fairly amongst the town. I don't know how anybody on the Board of Finance does not realize that. And being Board of Finance members, I would expect that you would understand that somebody is paying that bill, whether it's being done fairly and spread across all town residents, or whether it's being done as it has been for the last 4 years, and you're screwing the Warehouse Point residents. Just my point that I'm trying to get across to you, and I don't know that it's getting across.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Any other hands, Jason?
No more hands.
All right, sounds good. So we will close this public hearing at 7:32 p.m. and go into our workshop. All right. And we'll call the workshop to order at 7:32 p.m. And if I can do a roll call, please. Karen Christensen.
I'm here.
Tom Lansner.
Here.
Barbara Patano.
I'm here.
Bill Syme.
Here.
Tom Talamini.
Here.
All righty. So we are all here. Noreen, are you here?
I'm here.
There you are. All righty. Okay, so everyone is here. We will go on to budget workshop. We have on our agenda to discuss and finalize 2021 budget, discuss and finalize budget mailer. Now, we do not have to finalize it. We have finalized nothing as it is as of now. Nothing has been finalized. And we do not have to do it today because we did add the additional April 13th meeting. And then the Board of Selectmen voted that we could extend it out to the May 6th, where we will vote on the final budget.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Jason.
Just as a point of clarification, it's not we gave you the option to May 6th. You will, that's the only date you can vote on it.
Exactly. Correct. Correct. All right. So, you guys did ask me to send off a list of questions to the Board of Education, of which I did, and they kindly did respond via email with the answers. So wherever you guys would like to start, feel free.
All right, I'll start. Barbara Patano, Board of Finance. I'm very appreciative of what we got back. I have not had time to dig into it. I was made aware less than an hour before the start of this meeting that those files were sent over. In addition, I was kind of hoping I could dig into the details with the accounting and finance background that I have, which is to get those files in Excel so I could do my own calculations, just some comparisons, some percentages, to give me an opportunity to better speak to it. And that's not what I got. So I guess I'm looking for some additional time to dig into the details of what we asked for. And if I need to then hand convert the PDF files to Excel, that's going to take some considerable time. Thank you.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else right now?
Hi, Tom Lansner, Board of Finance. The question about the special ed line number 241, social workers, increased from 304 to 455 thousand. And this may be something that Barbara could answer if she got into the detail. But when I read it, it said increase to reflect contractual increases and salary for 2 staff. So I would like to know how many total social workers there are on that line. Because if I'm reading it as a layperson and it sounds like the 455,000 is for 2 staff, and I know that can't be. So someone may have the answer to that, that I just don't know where to look.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Okay, Tom. So you're looking for more detail than what you got on that special education information.
Right. Tom Lansner, Board of Finance. I think we got a breakdown on the next page of the number of FTEs. So it broke out teachers, paraeducators, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm assuming that the social workers must be in there somewhere. And it would be interesting to know how many there are, because I can't believe that's only 2 folks. And it may be somewhere in the spreadsheets. I just haven't had a chance, as Barbara had mentioned, to dig into it that deeply.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Okay. I will send out a quick email, Tom, after the meeting.
Tom Lansner, thank you.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else right now? It does not have to be on the Board of Ed information that you received. It also can be on anything that we've already gone over to revisit, since we have not voted on any part of the budget, and except for sections, which we can always revisit.
This is Bill, Board of Finance. Yeah, I mean, the Board of Ed sent us their information. It's still sitting at a rather very large number of an increase. I don't know where the rest of the board feels we need to go on this, but I mean, I'm sure we'd all like to give them what they feel they need, but in reality, with what we're looking at for a number, this number can't stand as is, and we just need to make sure we give them a reasonable number that's fair to everybody. I mean, we can look at it some more, or we can look at the numbers some more of what they've given us, but the bottom line is we can't control where they spend it. We can just give them what they need to do, And I don't know where you want to start that discussion.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Well, I think too, I agree with Barbara where we need to really look at the numbers that they gave us just a little bit ago. So we can always revisit it on April 13th with Barbara's analysis. And I mean, because we know that the electric and the gas are huge ones that we're not fully understanding those increases. So we really probably need to look and dive into that stuff and go over it. One question that I do have, and I'm not sure if it would be Amy who would be answering it or Jason, is do you have any idea where they are with the health insurance 2.0? And if they did sign on with that, is there an estimate of where we think what their savings would be? And I'm not sure who would answer that for me.
This is Jason. I'm not sure who you mean by talking about. Rephrase your question, please.
You guys are looking at the new health insurance, which you are doing on the town side. The Board of Ed side is going to hopefully do it too. My question would be, if they were to do it, do we have about what the savings would be for the Board of Ed side?
So this is Jason from the Board of Selectmen. So there's a multi-step process in terms of getting into the State Healthcare 2.0 plan, one of which involves an application being submitted to the Office of the State Comptroller. They, I believe I'm correct in saying they have submitted their application. The next thing that needs to be done beyond that is negotiations with collective bargaining units. And I don't know at what stage those are on the Board of Ed side. I know that on the town side, we're working with our healthcare consultant to set up an information forum with the Office of the State Comptroller and the healthcare consultant to answer questions that affected bargaining unit employees have about the conversion. Amy and I talked about that again today, and we're hopeful that a date will be on the books next week, I'm hoping. We're still, on the town side, we're still aiming for an open enrollment period of the middle of May to the middle of June. So time is kind of the essence, and we're working on that. What we do know so far is One Digital, who is the healthcare consultant for both the town and the Board of Ed, quoted us what the savings would be on the state plan, or what the premium would be on the state plan. The savings is a little bit of a moving target because of the reaction we got when we went out to bid for healthcare on an HSA. So we do have the estimated premium number if we were to convert to 2.0 for both the town and the school and the two jointly.
Geraldine, it's Noreen Farmer, Board of Finance. I agree with Barbara that we got the information really late. I literally had 20 minutes to look at it, but going through their answers to the questions on the very last page, they have a graph that shows fiscal year 21 adjustments as of today, and they're showing a decrease in the health insurance. I'm not sure where that goes into it, but there's unfortunately increases in the special education section as well. But their note says they're dropping it to 9.5%. So it's in that the notes, the answers to the questions section of what they sent.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Thanks, Noreen. Anybody else right now?
Yep, this is Barbara Patano, Board of Finance. The Board of Education conversation aside, I just wanted to have an opportunity to follow up based on the public participation regarding the addition of the police department position. I was in agreement with that last week. I just wanted to follow up on something that Mr. Leach said. He indicated that there's a potential candidate and that therefore there may be some salary savings. I feel strongly that we should be basing decisions on whether we add positions or not based on the definition of the position and not necessarily potentially short-term savings on a candidate. The other point I feel I just need to add about the fire department is we're kind of going back and forth on whether the expense, who pays for the expenses. And I'm not, personally, I'm not hearing anything, and I don't want to open up a can of worms here, but about synergies. You know, we've got two completely separate organizations that we're splitting, and I think that when we come to an agreement, it's got to be where are some synergies and where are some savings, and that's where I get hung up on. It's not that I'm not in violent agreement that there is some some additional burden that doesn't belong there, and that it's a safety issue and we need to discuss all that. But as long as I've been a member of this board, I've just not heard anything about any potential synergies, and I'd like to see that brought to the table. Thank you.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. regarding the position in the police department, which I think is a very important one. And after we had our conversation, I made sure to reach out to the assistant deputy and ask him if he thought there was any other savings he could find, if that position was one such that he felt that we really needed to keep in so that I could bring it back to you. He did tell me that at this time he understood with what was going on in our world right now, that they fully understood, and that he was okay, that he appreciated me reaching out, but he really didn't see anywhere they could pull from, and that he understood that we weren't going to be able to put that in there. So I can certainly reach out to him again, but we did have that conversation. So I would never do anything like that without reaching out and making sure, you know, we were good. And as far as the synergy, Barb, what can you describe a little bit more what you're trying to say? What are you looking for?
This may be an uneducated comment, and I apologize to all the parties that are out there listening to this, but it just seems like we have one town and two completely separate, and I know they work together well, and I get all that, but in terms of the organization chart, we have two chiefs, and we have, you know, two or three of everything. And isn't there a way to have it under one umbrella that serves the town and find some savings? So it's not 1.6 on this side of the town and 1.6 on that, but that we combine them and find some additional savings and bring that to the table. That's where I'm going with that.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Thank you, Barbara. I thought that's what you meant, but I just wanted a little more, you know, information on that. And that would be the perfect solution. And I think what they were going to, from what I understand, working towards, and the two departments did not agree on making the one. And again, I could not have the exact details either correctly, because, you know, I believe that that is on a Board of Selectmen level. Everybody could fight me every step of the way if they want, but once they figure out what they want to do and then figure out, say to us how we have to fund it. But I think it has to be something that the taxpayer votes on, not something that we put through on a budget where no taxpayer has a voice at all. I find that very unfair. That's just me though, and we're a whole board, so that that doesn't mean, you know.
This is Bill, Board of Finance, if I could speak. I mean, last year we attempted to put money in for the Warehouse Point Fire Department. We put $200 and something thousand in. We put $90,000 in, and I forget what our third number was. We put three different numbers in. I can't remember which order we put them in. 3 times the budget failed, and 3 times it failed with a large margin on the Warehouse Point side. If we put a number in this year with absolutely 0 vote, I think it's irresponsible of this board to do that, because we could do whatever we want to do this year. It's entirely up to us. We could hand the town a 6% increase. We could hand them a 10% increase. We could do whatever we want to do with this budget this year. But based on what's happened in the past with the budgets and what we did last year by trying to give money and it failing on the Warehouse Point side of town 3 times by a large margin, I don't think I can put a number in there with a good conscience without a vote, and let the Warehouse Point side vote largely in favor of it. And it's just not something I'm willing to do this year, without people having a, you know, because this is, you know, I've put the match number for Broadbrook at 467,000. I put it in there, and it more than doubles the increase for the town of the town side of the budget. And I just don't think that can be done without a vote. I don't know how they could do a vote this year with what's going on. I think a vote on something like this needs to be done in private. I believe in private voting when you vote on, you know, for a candidate or for a budget. That way no one can influence you as you're, you know, if you're standing there doing a thumbs up or thumbs down or a wave or aye or whatever. You know, if the people are standing around, that can influence how people would vote. I don't think that's fair to put people through that. So as far as Warehouse Point for me this year, I just, you know, I'm willing to put money in there, but it's got to go to a vote to the town. I just don't think that this board has the, you know, we have the authority this year, but I just don't think it's the right thing for this board to do.
Barbara Patano, Board of Finance. I completely agree and support what Bill said.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else?
Tom Lansner, Board of Finance. I guess I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I understand what both Bill and Barbara are saying, so I'm not necessarily disagreeing, but we had sent out notices to the town, and Kathy Simonelli did a great job with that today, informing them that they wouldn't be able to vote and encourage them to either send us questions or go to these hearings and voice their concerns. And all I heard from the people that did attend was support for both the police department and even a stronger concern about the Warehouse Point Fire Department. I understand what Alan is saying, and I know as a long-term solution, we need to fix it. Supporting the Warehouse Point with some money this year would, I think, at least show a good part of the town that we're trying to do something. Now, I don't know enough about the fund balance. I don't know where else the money could come from other than a tax increase. But I just think from what I heard, a lot of people were in favor of it. I don't necessarily disagree with what either Bill, Barbara, or Alan had said, but I think it shows the town that we're trying to work on it. But I agree, it's going to be a big number when they get their tax bills.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else?
Karen Christensen, Board of Finance. I agree with Barbara and Bill based on the way the town voted last year. And it was that Warehouse Point did vote down every budget that we put money in for the firehouse. I don't think us choosing on our own, we can do that. I think we wouldn't be listening to what the town has already said.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else? It doesn't just have to be on that. I mean, we're looking at the budget as a whole right now. I know we're going to put Board of Ed on hold probably till April 13th, which is fine if that's what you want to do. I mean, I guess, where are you guys on the Board of Ed? Are we just looking to put it off till April 13th so you can really dive into the information?
Barbara Patano, Board of Finance. I'm hopeful that I'm going to be able to get the information in Excel, which would help. And yeah, I'm begging for more time. So if that's till the 13th, if that's what I get, thank you.
Is that on the screens?
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else?
I have no idea, Tom. I mean, you have.
Hey, Tom. Tom Talamini.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yeah. I lost my screen, so I'm trying to get it back. That's all.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure you didn't want to say anything.
Nope.
So this is Bill from the Board of Finance again. I was just going through what my notes or what I show on my screen here from our last meeting, that what we have not approved as far as departments so far are social services, because we're questioning whether we're going to put that part-time salary position in. We've left that open. The police department, we did approve without the position. And again, we had a discussion about this last time. We ended up putting 3 years worth of wage increases into one budget cycle. If that had not happened, I would have been more than glad to fund that position this year. But again, we took 14% salary increase in our, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong number, 5% salary increase in the officers already, and there's some other numbers in there that blew it up to 4.7%, 4.8% increase, and I just didn't think that we could fit that in there. Again, given all the situations going on, and again, in the back of my mind, keeping in what's going on with budget votes in the past in the town. So anyway, so still open. I see social services, and I think other than Board of Ed, I think that's the only two we still have open, if I'm not, and insurance and pension, we did vote on it with the number we were given last time. So yeah, I think that's the only two I still show as open to discuss.
Geraldine, that we also left the Broadbrook Fire I'm hoping to be able to put some money in there for some more night shifts. This is Amy from the treasurer's office.
Yes, I missed that one. Yes, that one is still open too. Yes.
Bill, Board of Finance.
Yes, Bill Board of Finance. So I think we should at least try and somewhat button up the town side. And if we leave the Board of Ed to next time, we leave the Board of Ed to next time. But again, I've stated that there's a large number sitting there on the Board of Ed side that, you know, we need to start a discussion of where that's going to go. Because it, in my opinion, as much as they may need 6.8%, I just don't know that that's going to be able to stay at that number.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. I don't know if, I don't know, Jason, you're here. I don't know if Joe Sauerhofer's still here. We discussed hazardous waste last time, the $20,000. And I remember we talked about what it entails. And is it picking it up at everybody's house, or is it picking up what's dropped off at Public Works?
This is Jason from the Board of Selectmen. There's a central place that is designated for people to go and drop it off, just like the bulky waste pickup in a couple of weeks is going to be at USA Hauling. I think in past years they've used the parking lot at St. Catharines. I think they've used DPW. There is a place designated, but I can tell you, I've talked to Len and to Joe, and that hazardous waste collection, although we have not done it in 2 years, could come out for this year with an assurance from the board that we would absolutely be doing it next year.
Jerry Lynn Corso, Board of Finance. I mean, I think we can live with that. I mean, is everybody in agreement that if we were to take that out, we would be an assurance that it would get in next year?
This is Tom from Board of Finance. I would agree with that.
Would you like to make them? Did we vote on the bottom line of that last time? Jerry Lynn Corso, Board of Finance. So we would have to make a motion to revisit that line and open Public Works again.
Amy from the
That's
treasurer.
sanitation.
It's sanitation, not Public Works.
Oh, thank you. Sanitation.
At the very bottom.
Would somebody like to make that motion?
I'd like to make a motion, Tom Talamini, Board of Finance, like to make the motion to reopen the sanitation portion
there a-
of the.
Sorry, Chairman Corso, Board of Finance, is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion only.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion, Mr. Syme?
Yes, I did question this last time. I mean, I brought it up, so I'll put that on my shoulders. But you know, is it kicking the can down the road, and who knows what situation we're going to be in next year? So, I mean, it has been 2 years. I mean, it is only $20,000. I mean, yes, we probably could use it somewhere else, but as was stated by, I don't know if it was Lenny or Joe the last time, people are home, people are cleaning, and there's going to be a lot of stuff generated. So it may be in our best interest to leave it, you know, for today. Maybe when we get to the final number, if we can't agree on a Board of Ed number that's palatable, maybe we come back to it. But as of today, I kind of will say, I don't want to kick the can down the road if I can't guarantee, because in my opinion, I don't know what situation we're going to be in next year at this time. And I need to be fair to Lenny and Joe, because they do treat us well in this town.
So this is Jason from the Board of Selectmen. If I could add some color to that. In conversations with Len and Joe, they were comfortable postponing this with the hope that the board might consider reinstating their position ask. And I think that there are some other savings that we can probably find to make that a net neutral move, if not better. So we don't want to see this become something that we don't ever put back in. But in talking with them, you know, if they had to make a call between whether they wanted to see work towards putting a position in or the hazardous waste pickup, this was their priority.
Barbara Patano, Board of Finance. So I'm looking for, this is a question of clarification from Bill. You indicated that Lenny had said that, people are home and people are cleaning, but that's all happened, that situation's all happened since this budget was put together. So I would be concerned in making any decisions based on the pandemic that we're in currently, because I don't think that that information has been put in any of these budgets, unless I'm mistaken.
Karen Christensen, Board of Finance. I've used this service. When I've taken things there, a lot of residents use it. There was a line of people waiting to get rid of the stuff in their car. I worry that if they don't have the service, what's going to happen is that people are going to dump it on the road, or we're going to find it other places.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else? All right, so all those in favor of opening sanitation again? Karen?
No.
Tom Lansner?
Yes.
Barbara Patano?
Yes.
Bill Syme?
No.
And Tom Talamini?
Yes.
Okay, well, the motion passes, so now we are opening it back up. Would somebody like to make a motion as to what you would like to do?
Oops, I didn't unmute myself. I'm sorry. This is Barbara Patano, Board of Finance. I make a motion that we decrease the $20,000 increase put in for the hazardous waste.
Decrease to what, Barbara? 0 or?
Yes, thank you, because this is a new item I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Tom Talamini.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Geraldine, this is Jason. That is a contracted service. It's not like we can do it halfway. It's all or nothing.
I think she did do it to 0, Jason.
Oh, I thought you cut it to 10. I misheard.
No, maybe I misheard. Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Barbara, you made it 0, right?
Barbara Patano, Board of Finance. I made it to no increase.
Which would be 0 because it was new, correct?
Correct.
Geraldine, Amy from the Treasurer's Office, just so you know, this isn't new. This happens to be a service we pay for every other year. So it's not in 1920's budget because that's not the year to do it. It's in 2021 because that is the alternating year that it should be in.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Yep. Oops. All right.
Okay.
Any more?
Barbara Patano, I'm so confused. Can we have a little bit of a do-over here so I understand what the beginning point is? Because my understanding based on the previous conversation was that we were increasing this because people were, and the logic behind it was people were home now and this was going to be increasing. So if I've misunderstood that, I apologize, but could we get a little more clarification?
I know, Gerald.
Well,
you want to be
go ahead, Amy. I can do it or you can do it. Go ahead, Amy. Go ahead.
So this is Amy from the Treasurer's Office. This is not an increase tied to COVID at all. We pay for this service every other year. And as Karen Christensen from the Board of Finance stated, that people use this service. So every other year we pay to have hazardous household waste days that people can bring their hazardous chemicals and stuff to them and they get disposed of properly. So a normal course of our budget would have been, it was in 18-19, and you can see in the actual expenses, it was there. It wouldn't be in 19-20 because we didn't have one scheduled for this year, but it would be in 2021 for next year. So nothing to do with COVID, just a normal cost of business. It just happens to be that there's a budget fluctuation because we only do it every other budget.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Thank you, Amy. Are you good on that, Barbara?
I am. I think I've steered us in the wrong direction based on that clarification. So I apologize for that, and I take back my recommendation.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Well, first we need to discuss it, and we're gonna have to vote on it because you put a motion out there and it's seconded. So, but that's okay. It doesn't mean you have to vote for it. So you'll be all good. All right. So any other discussion? All right. So all those in favor of making the hazardous waste line 0. Karen Christensen.
No, I'm not in favor.
Okay. Tom Lansner.
No.
Okay. Barbara.
No.
Okay. Bill Syme.
No.
And Tom Talamini.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the motion did not pass, so we leave hazardous waste in at $20,000. Okay, where would you all like to go now? I'm waiting.
Yeah, I'm looking. Hold on. There it is. Bill, Board of Finance. I'd like to get the board's opinion on the part-time salary position for the social services. I believe the number was $17,192.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. You'd have to bring it back up there, but yes, I do believe that's what it was. In all honesty, Bill, you can look, but you're going to have to find it somewhere else because we're still too high. So if you want to put something back in, we're going to have to look at other stuff. And the only thing saving you there on that position is it's part-time, so it has no implications of all of the pensions and everything that go with it. So go ahead, Bill, sorry.
No, my opinion is that we can put it in there. I think we can find, we did make some cuts the last time. I think I took $3,000 or $4,000 away from some of her other departments. I think we made some other cuts, and I think some of the savings in healthcare could probably go that way. I did have a few other notes on I just want to question a little bit. Assessors, education dues, planners, education dues were higher than other departments. Also on the planner or assessor, I thought we moved someone up a class or maybe finished their education. So I don't know if they need all that money. And there's still the extra money that I voted against for the Broadbrook Library. That was part of what I wanted to move up to this category.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Real quick question too, and Jason's here and Amy, whoever can answer it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the social service position, that's not a new position. It's a position that she had and did not fill, right, last time?
It's an existing position that was funded when there was an extended vacancy in a full-time position. The funding for which is now going to sunset at the end of the year because we filled the full-time position. When Jane Simpkins left, we brought Bridget Joy into the social services department. And in the interim, Melissa brought on an administrative assistant, basically an administrative assistant who is helping to process the programs that are administered through that service. But because it's paid for through cost savings and attrition, once the attrition disappears at fiscal year end, so too does the position if it's not funded.
This is Amy from the Treasurer's Office. I'd also share that when they did the reorg and they combined Melissa's position to oversee all the community services, there was a clerical position I'm not sure if it was social services or senior services, but it was cut because it wasn't filled. So then the next budget year, we cut it. So it was intended to have clerical support, and it was not filled and then was cut from the budget the next year. So there was, and that's going back to maybe 3 budgets ago. But so there was a position and it just was never filled. And the need is really there to have that position in that office.
This is Bill, Board of Finance, and this being a part-time position and not having to fill out the bottom side of the budget, let's say in pension and healthcare and all that stuff, it is more palatable to me than a full-time position.
During the course of Board of Finance, you're still going to have to find savings though, Mr. Sims. And the only thing saving you is it's not a new position.
Well, I guess I will make a motion to put the part-time salary position under social services at $17,192.
Is there, during the course of Board of Finance, is there a second?
Karen Christensen, Board of Finance, I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor, Karen Christensen,
Yes?
Tom Lansner,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
No.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Tom Talamini.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Now on you go, Mr. Symes, to find your savings.
Okay. Well, next, I'd like to make a motion to approve social services total at $176,962. $926.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Is there a second?
Karen Christensen, Board of Finance, second.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Any discussion? All those in favor, Karen Christensen,
Yes?
Tom Lansner,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
No.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Tom Talamini.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Bill, where did you say you wanted to go now?
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance, somewhere where he finds 18 grand.
I don't think I found 14. I found 3,000 last time.
Okay.
My next one, I was looking, and I don't know, and I can't speak unless someone can speak for me. One of the areas I hit a little bit here is under town planner. Their education and dues category is $7,700 approximately. 2% increase. I just wanted to make sure that's fully necessary because that's a lot more than a lot of the other departments.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. I'm going to give that one to you, Jason.
So that there is funding that is in there for Amanda Calv, who is administrative assistant in the unit, to work on her bachelor's degree, but she's just about to have a baby, her second baby. So that's going to slow down her academics a little bit. So I think that could be trimmed back to 4,000 probably.
Amy from the treasurer's office. If you look at history, they've spent 2,500, 2,800, 2,100, 3,200, and this year so far 2,500 in the past over the last 5 years.
So that puts them on pace for little less than 3,500 this year.
Yeah, or even 4,000. I think 4,000 is probably a reasonable number, but I just wanted people to know that it was not all spent. That number was not the number that had been spent in the previous 4 years.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things that caught my eye when I was playing around with numbers. So I guess I will move to relook at the town planner education and dues line.
Okay, Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Is there a second?
Barbara Patano, Board of Finance, I second.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of opening again, Karen Christensen,
Yes.
Tom Lanzner,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Bill Stein,
Yes.
Tom Talamini.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. So I will move to make education and dues line under town planner $4,000.
Is Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, is there a second?
Karen Christensen, I'll second it.
Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor, Karen Christensen,
Yes.
Tom Lanzner,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Tom Talamini.
Yes.
Motion passes.
The assessor's office, I was the same question again on education and dues.
Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, Jason, do you have information on anything on the assessor?
Amy from the treasurer's office, I will tell you the trend is the same.
Trend is the same as what? The Geraldine Corso Board of Finance. Trend is the same as they've been spending 4,500?
This is Amy from treasurer's office. No, 2,300, 2,100, 2,200, 2,300, and 1,017 so far this year. Amy from the treasurer's office.
Geraldine Corso Board of Finance. So can we look back in our books? What did they put in there? I mean, what's different? I mean, it sounds like it should be 2,500.
Karen Christensen, Board of Finance, in her notes, she said educational expenses show increase due to assessor is no longer teaching a class at UConn and must therefore pay tuition.
Yeah, but how, Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, how much?
Well, it doesn't say, but it does, you know, that's her
Yeah.
reason for increasing it.
Yep.
The Bill Board of Finance, I mean, our past assessor, I'm sure had to take classes as well. And when she was in our budget in those 15, 16, 16, 17 years.
Well, you can make a motion, Mr. Syme.
Yes, I will make a motion to open up education and dues under the assessor's office.
Is there a second?
Tom Talamini, I'll second that.
Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, is there any discussion? All those in favor, Tom Talamini,
Yes.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Tom Lanzner,
Yes.
Karen Christensen,
Yes.
motion passes.
I'm sorry, that was to put it down to 2,500?
That was just to reopen it because we have to be already approved already.
Thank you.
Now I'll make the motion to go to $2,500 in education and dues under the assessor's office.
Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, is there a second?
Tom Talamini, I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Just tell you that the increase tied to that class for the assessor is $200.
Thank you. All those in favor, Karen Christensen,
Yes.
Tom Lanzner,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Tom Talamini,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay. And I'd like to move to approve the assessor's office at a whoops, that changed the change. At $243,315.
Nope.
Am I wrong? I can't read yours, it's too small.
211,315.
What is it?
211,315.
Why does this say 213,390?
That's the old one.
Okay.
Oh, you're correct. I made it in the wrong spot. I'm sorry.
Page breaks.
Yes, 211,315. Yeah, so I move we approve the assessor's office at 211,315.
Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, is there a second?
Karen Christensen, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Karen Christensen,
Yes.
Tom Lansner,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Tom Talamini.
Yes.
Motion passes. Anybody else? Bill, anything anybody's thinking?
Well, I think we should try and button up the fire services line for tonight. If, I don't know where we have any discussion. I had it open because I was thinking about money for their salary position overnight, but I don't know that I can do that.
Barbara Patano, Board of Finance. I support Bill's stance. I'm really uncomfortable increasing Broadbrook Fire Department when we still have not resolved this issue with Warehouse Point.
Anybody else? Gerald Corso, Board of Finance, anybody else? Comments, concerns?
I just reassess. I mean, I said it earlier. I just, without having a vote, and I just don't know how there can be an uninfluenced vote at all on this year. I think this needs to be something that should go to the town. I don't think it should rest squarely on the shoulders of 5 or 6 of us to make this decision when we tried giving them some money last year and it failed on the side of town that really should have approved it. So I guess if there's no other discussion or comments, I'll make a motion we approve the fire services line at $467,000.
Gerald Corso, Board of Finance, is there a second?
Barbara Patano, Board of Finance, I second.
Gerald Corso, Board of Finance, any other discussion?
Yeah, Tom Lansner. Just an idea, if we were to put the same amount of money back in here for Warehouse Point, initially they were talking about $670,000. If we put that in there and announced the way we've been announcing these hearings, that in order to equalize the Warehouse Point this year, we are considering doing that, at least we would be somewhat transparent. There were not that many people at the open hearing today, but at least if we put it back in there and announce that we would like to do it, that would be a little bit better than just springing it on the town when they get their tax bill.
Gerald Corso, Board of Finance. I think, did they not, I could be wrong, did Warehouse Point not already have their budget vote?
Tom Lansner, yeah, I sat in on it, and it was, I believe, $865,000 and a 1.7 mill rate. So they did that as a result of, not having any other options. But I mean, I'm hearing people say that, it would not be too late to revisit that. I may be naive, but, I thought I heard that at the hearing.
Gerald Corso, Board of Finance. Amy, how much have we increased Broadbrook Fire over the last 4 years? Like the percentage?
Amy from the treasurer's office, their numbers were $370,000 in 16-17, $389,000 in 17-18, $426,000 in 18-19, and $464,000 the current year, and they have them in there for $467 for next year. So less than $100,000 over a 5-year span has been their increase.
And Tom, what did you say? Where's Warehouse Point now?
I believe they were at 865,000, and at the Board of Selectmen discussion, I thought it was brought up that we would put the same amount, which would be 467,000. We would put an equal amount in for Warehouse Point, which would leave the fire district to build a difference as they do now.
Noreen Farmer, Board of Finance. Jason, based on what Tom just said, do you have a explanation as to why their request was 627,000?
Tom Lancer, I think that was misquote on my part. I think
Nope.
I got the numbers transposed, I think.
No, Amy from the treasurer's office, when they first came forward to our budget, they didn't give us a number. What they gave us instead was this year's budget sheet that had the 627 in there. So Jason and I, as the people looking at the budget, had to put something in there, and that's all that we had gotten from them. We then later got that beautiful presentation with the $800,000 number in there. But the 627 is actually current year budget for them. So they're going from 627 to 800 and something thousand. And I think I have my book here for them. I don't know if that's what was voted on, but the book that they presented us looks like this. But this wasn't presented until after it went to the Board of Selectmen. Jason and I didn't have this number at the time. But the number in this one is, let's see.
Hey, Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Hey, Amy.
Yes.
Quick question for you. I don't think, I mean, I'm not speaking for the board at all, but it just sounds like everybody's kind of, I get Tom's point, but it does sound, I think, for the rest, that everybody's kind of in agreement that it's not the year to do it when a taxpayer can't vote in it, and it's, you know, and we could just put it in, but that's just not fair. That's not what we're here for. But my question is, as we look at this, and as hopefully all of the Board of Selectmen try to come to a solution on this, is there a way you can get for us the number that is, how do I phrase this? Like, can you pull out the number of, so like the Broadbrook taxpayer pays an amount, and they're saying, you know, the Warehouse Point has their amount that they pay. Is there a way to pull out what the difference is? What the difference is that the Warehouse Point taxpayer is paying, like what that total is? Does that make sense? Is that coming out right?
I think so. You're looking to find out how much of the $464,000 would be covered from Warehouse Point taxpayers.
Correct. How much of Broadbrook's 464,000? Yes, I think that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Is there a way to do that though?
I don't know. I'm thinking yes. I'm thinking if I talk to the assessor, I could probably, we did do some comparisons for Warehouse Point because they were asking about like what share of the grand list they were when they were in their talks trying to get it combined. So I'm thinking, yes, there should be a way to come up with how much of that share is theirs. But even if you did half, it would be 200,000. Even if you assumed half and half. So only 200,000 of what the taxpayers in Warehouse Point is paying of the $1 million that they're paying, because 800,000 is staying in Warehouse Point. Just in round numbers.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I'll look into it.
Okay. All right. I think that's a number we need to have, though, is just what I'm saying. All right, Bill, you started this all, so where were we? Were we in discussions of passing? I lost track.
I think, yeah, I believe I made the
Rebecca,
motion.
where were we? Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance.
Bill made a motion to accept fire services at $467,000.
And did we had a second?
Barbara.
Yeah, and now we're in discussion, right?
Yep.
Thank you, ma'am. More discussion, guys? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the 467 for Broadbrook Fire? Karen Christensen,
Yes.
Tom Lansner,
No.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Tom Talamini.
Yes.
Motion passes. Where would we like to go next? Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance.
Did I miss it? But I think that finishes the town budget for us, unless I missed something. There might be one more.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Did we finish revenues
No.
last time?
No, this is Amy from the treasurer's office. No, and as a matter of fact, I did some changes to the revenue tab. I gave you $77,000 more in ECS money because last year's, we're getting the same number as we got last year, but last year I had reduced it by the possibility of the teacher's retirement payment, which was $77,000. So in the sheet that got sent out, if you keep going farther down, I think, Jace. There's 77,949 you gained. And we didn't talk about the fund balance, but I don't know that you're in a spot to do the fund balance right now, knowing that the tax rate is still way too high. We are at currently 3420.25 mils, and it would go up 1.78 mils, 5.21% to 3603 currently as we sit.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. That is too much.
Kind of makes it clear why the Board of Selectmen didn't include the fire district.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Bill Syme, I still think you haven't covered your part-time position yet, by the way.
I've covered $8,500 worth of it.
So you got somewhere to go there.
I covered half of it.
Half is not all.
This is Amy from the treasurer's office. Can't we use some of the $194,000 of the insurance savings?
Geraldine Corso, that's a gift. So no.
Or the new 78,000 in revenue she found you?
Yeah, please.
Well,
Help me here.
then just put Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance, and then put $500,000 on the transfer. There you go. Then Bill, you'll be all set.
Geraldine, it's Noreen, Board of Finance. I've been looking at all the numbers, and we seem to focus very much so on the percentages, which is understandable. But I started looking at it from the perspective of how much it costs the taxpayer. In general, I started with myself, knowing my own tax bill. The increase to me between where it stands right now and where it was is roughly $212 a year, which to me, that's $18 a month. That's not a huge increase. And I'm not sure, if that's the direction to look at it from, but, we're not, I don't think we're going to be overtaxing anybody by asking them for another $18 a month when there are absolute needs that we don't have, we don't have. And in comparing us to other towns, we certainly lack in services, but we also seriously lack in tax payments as well. You kind of get what you pay for. And then in going through it, I actually went through like the last 10 years just to see where I fell personally, over the last 10 years from when, and I know it needs to be adjusted because there were revals in there, but my monthly tax payment over the past 10 years, the increase was $9 a month, which honestly, for Melissa to have an additional person to help with things, to have Public Works possibly have better services for us as a community to be able to get rid of our hazardous waste, I don't think we're talking too much. I don't think it's an excessive burden on a lot of taxpayers. And I personally think the reason it fails a lot is because the average taxpayer doesn't really care. And the people who turn out to vote are people who are engrossed in our town and know, okay, it's time to go vote, or people who are absolutely opposed to any tax increase at all. And a lot of those people, from my understanding of it, are people who, you know, they are on fixed incomes, but their Social Security is not going down. They get a little raise every year. And I really think, looking at it from the perspective of what it costs a person, needs to be somewhat part of the conversation, rather than just looking at a percentage increase to determine how this town moves forward.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else?
Tom Talamini, Board of Finance. That percentage is fine, but now we still got the school to throw into this. I mean, to me, I think that's way too much of a burden to ask, especially with people being unemployed.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Thanks, Tom. I agree with you too. I mean, it's okay to look at, you know, I know what you're saying, Noreen, looking at yours, but we go from A to Z in this town. We have a huge socioeconomic gap from A to Z. It may not be a lot to one, it could be huge to another. A lot of the people that we want to help with what we're putting in this budget are the same people we're asking to pay taxes that may not be able to pay the taxes. So I think we are so widespread in this town too. Yes, some people, you know, I remember way back one year, I can't remember who said it it was either on my board or the Board of Selectmen, I cannot remember who, but they said, it's only the price of a cup of coffee. Oh my goodness, they regretted that for a long time because some people can't afford that cup of coffee every day. So I think we need to look at it as a whole, and unfortunately we can't just narrow it down to a one person. We need to look at it, how it affects every single, and you know, socioeconomic pocket in our town. But I do understand what both of you are saying too. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Bill, Board of Finance, and this is just a point of information. And I obviously I have my own small business in town, but I manage a large business in town that has a huge tax liability to the town. And it's, you know, for a business that's, you know, we're talking about what we need is economic development in the town. Well, if you have a mill rate of 36, 37, 38, and your neighboring town has a mill rate of 30 or 29 or 21, I don't know what they are around us, but I know there's some of them that are lower than us, and you're going to make a several million or $10 million investment in a town. I mean, granted, we can give tax relief through votes and all that stuff, but eventually those go away and you come back to your reality of what your tax rate is. So there's a business side of it too that we need to, you know, consider a little bit as well. You know, that the mill rate number does make a difference for people possibly looking at this town for a location for their business. And we do need business development in this town to help expand our tax base, which can help bring that down, but we're definitely not growing like we could.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else? Where are we going? Where are we steering now?
Well, just, I think, like I said, I think we've got all the departments in the town done and the town budget done, if I'm not mistaken. So it's basically Board of Education and your revenue side. And the only thing this board really has a control over on the revenue side, now I just messed my sheet up here, is the transfer from fund balance. And again, I don't know that we can play with that. We need to use that and do that number until we actually put a number in for the Board of Education.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Yeah, I agree with you too. Anybody else out there?
Geraldine, it's Rebecca, recording secretary. You never went back and actually okayed the town planner budget with the new number, like you did the assessor. And also last time you accepted the libraries on their lines, but not that as a whole.
Okay, Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Thanks, Rebecca. Let's go back to the town planner and then go to the libraries.
Get up here. So town planner, Oh, I can blow it up. Here. Is it 235, 240? I can't. Is that the number?
Geraldine Corso Board of
Treasurer,
Finance.
yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll move we approve town planner at 235, 240.
Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, is there a second?
Sure, Barbara Patano, Board of Finance, I'll second.
Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, any discussion? All those in favor? Tom Talamini,
Yes.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Tom Lansner,
Yes.
Karen Christensen.
Yes.
All righty, motion passes. Let's go to the libraries.
This is Bill, Board of Finance. Someone else is gonna have to make this one because I think we're too high in Broadbrook Library. So someone else have to make this motion.
Geraldine Corso Board of Finance. Hold on, I can't even see it. Where are we at? Oh, okay. So we're at 25,000 for Broadbrook Library.
No, 20,000.
20? And what are we at Warehouse Point?
285.
Do we have to
And-
make a motion to open this up again, or?
We
just
never voted on the final number.
No, we never, yeah, you don't have to because we never voted on the final number.
All right, I make a motion to cut the Broadbrook Library down to 10,000. This is Tom Talamini, Board of Finance.
Okay. Broadbrook Library, right, Tom? I'm sorry.
Yes, 10,000.
Okay, Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, is there a second?
I can second that one.
All right, Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, is there any discussion? So you're making them what they were last year with no increase, is that correct?
Correct.
Are we at the discussion?
Yep, you're at the discussion.
Okay, so Barbara Patano, Board of Finance, you know, I think we're making a huge mistake here. We're talking pennies for an organization that contributes immensely and now houses the. I think we're making a big mistake, and I do not support a decrease. I think every year they come to the table, we decline an increase, and they scrimp and save as best they can. And I think this is a modest increase, less than modest increase, and I don't support a cut.
Thanks, Barb. Any other discussion? All right, so all those in favor of making, I don't want to get this wrong. Where do we, Broadbrook Library, $10,000. Tom Talamini,
Yes.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
No.
Tom Lansner,
No.
Karen Christensen.
No.
All right, so the motion does not pass. So it's at 20. And Warehouse Point is at its 285. So where do you guys want to go with this? Are we good with Warehouse Point at its 285? If so, then somebody can make the motion to move the libraries at their total, or you guys can.
It's Barbara Patano, Board of Finance. I make a motion to accept the Broadbrook and Warehouse Point Library budget collectively at 305,000.
Is there a second?
Karen Christensen, Board of Finance, I second it.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Any discussion? All those in favor? Karen Christensen?
Yes.
Tom Lanzner,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Bill Sine,
No.
Tom Talamini.
No.
Motion still passes. So is that it for where we feel we can go for tonight? Until we move on to Board of Ed on the 13th?
Tom Lanzner, am I correct in assuming the sentiment is we don't want to go back to the police department at this point?
You can bring it, Geraldine Corso Board of Finance, Tom, you can certainly bring it up and see how your board feels.
Okay. I make a motion that we open up the police department budget again to include the additional position that they had asked for.
You just need to open it up first.
Okay, I just make a motion that we open up the police department budget.
There you go.
Thanks.
Is there a second?
Sure, Barbara Patano, Board of Finance, I would second that.
During the course of Board of Finance, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of reopening, Karen Christensen,
No,
Tom Lanzner,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Bill Sine,
No.
Tom Talamini.
No.
Motion does not pass. Anywhere else? Are we good for tonight? Moving on to April 13th.
Yes, I'm good for tonight.
Everybody good for tonight? Moving on to April 13th.
Yep.
All right, so if I could have a motion to, well, let me make sure I got everything on our thing. Hold on. Night, Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. Amy, I know we had discussed and finalized budget mailer, but we're gonna have to do that on April 13th. And I think we have that. Do we have that on our April 13th too?
Amy from the treasurer's office, yes, we do. But I really wanted to talk about, what are you guys thinking for that letter? I have heard boo from nobody. I sent out the last year's mailer. Clearly, it's way different. It talks about budgets. It talks about grand lists. And I think we need to talk about that, you know, this is so far what the board is proposing, but that there will be another hearing on May 6th.
Yep.
And that the final vote will be May 6th, but there will be no referendums. But I was really looking for some guidance on what you were thinking. I have put together the numbers. So I can send those out hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow. But I have not even started on the letter part.
Geraldine
Where-
Corso, Board of Finance. I do want to make sure, and I know the executive order is kind of lengthy. If Jason's on here, is there a way we can put a short and blurb of exactly what the executive order is? And maybe if you and Amy kind of draft something together and we go over it on April 3rd. Well, how far is April 13th? Is that too far? Probably too far, right, Amy? Maybe if we do it via email, if you and Amy work on it and we can.
Geraldine, April 13th is Monday. Amy and I can work on a draft. I can start one tomorrow, and you know, we can bounce some ideas back and forth till we get something close for you guys to look at on Monday.
That would be perfect. Is that good for you, Aim?
Yes, Amy from the treasurer's office. Yes, I need to have that to the printer next week, and I'm only in Monday, Tuesday. So Monday, you're going to have to make serious decisions on what's happening so that it can get to the printer, so it can be in people's mailboxes before the May 6th.
Geraldine Corso, Board of Finance. We don't have a choice but to do it, Amy, on April 13th. Everything has got to be said and done so that when we have the public hearing on that May date, that, you know, they can input on exactly everything we did. And the only thing, and we may be able to change, you know, that's when we can change something, but we need to solidify it by April 13th. We need to be done on Monday.
Yes.
Yes, you are correct. Anybody else? Any other comments, board member comments?
This is Bill, Board of Finance, and I mean, I've spoken quite a bit, and I've given my opinion quite a bit tonight. And like I said, you know, I like everybody else on this board, really wishes that the public could have some input on this budget this year. there's no way to do it in a fair and equitable manner. I mean, there's online, I just don't know that online elections would ever be fair. I think there's too much ways that people can get around that. Again, drive by the town hall and give a thumbs up, thumbs down. I mean, you can be influenced by your decision by people standing there. So I think, a vote has to be private and, just like we've done in the past. I just don't know how it could be fair and uninfluenced any other way. So that's definitely out for this year, and that's unfortunate. As far as the police department, they've made a very good case for their position. And as a person that manages a business, I understand using people efficiently and all that stuff. Again, it just, to me, comes down to the final number that goes to the voters this year. And I think it'd be irresponsible of this board, because we have that opportunity to put up a 5% increase or a 4% increase to the people of the town. I just don't think that sits right. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't believe that would sit right with the voters in this town. And I'm not going to vote for a budget that's going to do that to the people of this town. So with the increase we took for the police department and the salaries that, goes back for 3 years because of unnegotiated contracts, that essentially eliminated the position this year, and that's unfortunate. The Warehouse Point Fire Department, again, without a big number like that, that's going to add a 2.6% increase to the town side of the budget. I can't put that through without a vote, and I said earlier, there's no way for a fair vote this year. And the Board of Education, we need to discuss that yet, but at this point right now, I really hope by Monday, maybe they'll have a better number for their savings and their healthcare, and we can have a discussion and then give them a fair number that's going to be fair to everybody in town. And that's kind of where I sit right now.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance. Anybody else before we call it a night? All right, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move we adjourn.
Carolyn Corso, Board of Finance, is there a second on that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Tom Talamini, Board of Finance. All right. All those in favor, Karen Christensen,
Yes.
Tom Lansner,
Yes.
Barbara Patano,
Yes.
Bill Syme,
Yes.
Tom Talamini.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, we'll talk to you all on April 13th.